All right, I'm Per Nilsson from the Swedish progressive melodic death metal band Scar Symmetry. We've got a new album coming out, the Singularity Phase II Xenotaph. It's been a long time coming. We've been working on it since 2016, but it's finally getting released now.
Beautiful, mate. Thanks for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me.
Well, as you say, Scar Symmetry returned with the Singularity Phase II Xenotaph on June the 9th. So it has been a while since 2016. So how are you feeling now? It's finally almost out.
It's feeling quite unreal. The first single was released March 31st, I believe it was. So it's the like new music has been out now for 2 months. But the feeling of putting that very first single out, which was on the day of the first show we did with Meshuggah on their arena tour here in Sweden. So we got to play a big show. We got to premiere the new song in front of a few thousand people. And even though the song dropped that day, there were people singing along to the chorus in the audience, which was really, that was a really amazing, sweet moment.
It sure was. So tell us a bit more about the album from a musical point of view, mate, and what you were going for with it.
Well, since this is part 2 of a trilogy that we're working on, and before we even wrote a single note of music, we came up with a synopsis, what we wanted to do, and so it's about the technological singularity, the rise of artificial intelligence, and what happens with that, and so each phase deals with its own part of the storyline. Phase 1 deals with the rise of artificial intelligence, neo-humans that are people who have augmented themselves with technology, and what happens when the AI turns malevolent. So phase 1 is it has some kind of upbeat moments musically when you can feel like sort of the promise of the new technology, but then it turns really dark as AI and the neo-humans, they wage war upon the unmodified mankind, which is the majority of people. So the album starts in war and disaster. So phase 2 picks up where phase 1 left off with the technocalyptic Cybergeddon.
Mouthful.
That's such a funny title for a song, Technocalyptic Cybergeddon.
I'm not even going to say it.
No, like kudos to Henrik, our drummer, who writes all the lyrics. Is absolutely brilliant. So phase 2 starts where phase 1 leaves off, and the very first song, which is the second single that we released, Chrononautilus, it starts in a similar fashion as Technocalyptic, with some really intense blast beats, and the song is very intense. And it in the midsection, there's a melody in the riff that's what was occurring in Technocalyptic that is now presented again in a different fashion. So it kind of ties the 2 albums together, and then it goes off into this story of, in this crazy brutal war, suddenly aliens show up.
Oh, wow.
Spacecrafts show up with these aliens that we call the ultra-terrestrials, and so it's an alien race that comes from like another dimension and a faraway galaxy, and they have been watching mankind for millennia, and overseeing our evolution and stepping in and helping us along the way at certain points, and they see humanity as their creation and their like celestial children. So they arrive to stand on humanity's side against AI, and so suddenly things are not looking as bleak for mankind. But then as the story progresses, you start to realize that perhaps these aliens have their own ulterior motives that maybe not it's gonna be super amazing for mankind. So it ends in the kind of bleak way again, leaving us with a little bit of a cliffhanger for phase 3.
Jeez, you've got a vivid imagination, mate. That is a sensational storyline. It's brilliant.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, it's not. I guess it's not super original. It's like concepts that has been explored in science fiction novels and movies and stuff. But it's like our own spin, on it, and like the concept idea. Not only does it make for some cool lyrics, it also like inspires me to write the kind of music that I feel fits with the story. And phase 1 came out as pretty melodic, progressive for sure, and very melodic, and there are parts of it that are almost like upbeat and like happy sounding in a way. Like the chorus of Limits to Infinity, for example, is goes in a direction that maybe we wouldn't have done if it wouldn't have been this concept thing. Same thing with phase 2. We're letting the music go in a much darker direction. Like large parts of the album is dark and brutal in a way that we haven't really explored to this extent on previous albums. And there are songs that are almost like a little bit black metal in a sense. There's like some really crazy blast beats and like chord progressions that are also not what we typically use in our music. So for me, has been very interesting to be able to take our sound to fully realize it in that direction.
So you're actually saying, like, in effect, the concepts actually guided what direction the music's gone. Is that right?
Exactly.
Ah.
And if I compare that to the older albums where we didn't really have a concept thing. What sometimes Henrik might have an idea already what the name of the album was going to be. Like I think he thought pretty early on that Holographic Universe was going to be called that, and the title track for that album, I wrote it with that in mind, that it was going to be named Holographic Universe. So I tried to make some of the music sound like fitting the title, but most of the time we've just like been writing a bunch of songs, and then Henrik has sort of like fed off the vibe of the music, and then come up with a lyrical concept that he feels fits the music, fits the the feeling of the music. But this time, we had the synopsis and also we had like ideas for song titles. So I wrote the music, and then he had like the idea of what it could be, and then he heard my music, and then he also let that shape how he did the lyrics. So it's really cool.
If nothing else, it sounds like a lot of fun. Like it sounds like it put a lot of fun and challenge into the writing process.
For sure, yeah. And writing the song is pretty much my favorite part of doing the band.
Very cool. So it's been 9 years since phase 1 came out, mate. So what has changed? What has changed with Scar Symmetry in that time?
Quite a lot of things, because back in the day, we were a poorly managed band, because I was managing, and I didn't do the best job. I did what I could, I suppose, but it was very stressful for me to handle all the budgets and crew and gear and being responsible for everything. So during the recordings of of this album. We wrote and recorded most of the basic tracks were done in 16 and 17, and around that time I was really burnt out from having to deal with all the business stuff of being in a band. That was really wearing me out, and anytime we went on tour, like some gear broke, something happened, flights were canceled, and like so it often was just like a big shitstorm for me, and I felt like I needed to do something else, and I was asked to join Nocturnal Rites and Meshuggah, so I started touring with them, and I got some time away from my own band and my own situation, and I got to see what it was like in other touring bands of especially Meshuggah, which is such a like significant band on the scene, and the way they handle their business, how they have figured things out. That really informed me on what to do coming back with my band. So yeah, so I guess it has changed a lot because I'm coming back now with all these experiences. I've sort of in a way I've modeled our new way of doing things. I modeled that from what Meshuggah did, like the way they put their crew together, the way they work with management and things like that. And I sort of made some similar arrangements for Scar Symmetry, which having that like weight off of my shoulders and put on our manager now, and like I have a manager and a lawyer and I have a crew, and so I don't have to worry about all the gear because the crew help me, and and so on. So I can just be, well, I'm still managing a lot of things, but I can spend much more energy on being the guitar player and being the performer and being the writer and being sort of the spokesman for the band, and I'm doing interviews like this. So yeah, it's so much easier now to do this thing, and I'm feeling like since we had these years apart, even we did some shows and did some work on the album every now and then, but we still had like a lot more time apart than we used to have. So now coming back together, and I like it's like everyone's like passion and love for the band is sort of like at an all-time high.
Very good. And then the album comes out on June the 9th, as we say, but what's next for Scar Symmetry after that? What have you got planned for the rest of the year?
We have a bunch of summer festivals in Europe that we're gonna do, and then later in the year we're getting back out on the touring circuits in a post-pandemic world where we have to see where we are with things, and also because we weren't super active touring wise in many years, it's also like promoters, they don't know really where our Scar Symmetry is. So it's a little bit of testing things. So it makes sense for us to start mainly in Europe and getting ourselves back out there. And so we're gonna try to come everywhere in Europe, and then I think we're locking in Japan now, maybe even this year. I think we're gonna come back to Japan, and then we're in contact with our booking agent in North America, so have high hopes for North America next year, and we're talking to people in Australia as well, so we have high hopes for Australia. So
very good.
So we just want to like tour as much as is possible for the status of the band and for everyone in the band's situation, being in this phase of our lives, like we're parents and we have all this stuff. So we want to tour as much as possible without, killing ourselves. And then we want to, start doing a new album, just keep going, because if the band has been going on haven't been the biggest priority for a number of years, now it's everyone's full focus again.
Yeah, mate. Good to hear. Well, thanks very much for your time, mate. It's been an absolute pleasure. The Singularity Phase II Xenotaph is out on June the 9th, and she's an absolute cracker, mate. I'm now know what it's all about. I'm going to sit down and have another listen, and I'm going to take it in for the concept that it is. So thanks for clearing a few things up for me.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me. This was brilliant.
No worries at all, mate. You take care. We'll see you when you come out to Australia.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, brother. Take
care, man.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.